Well, hey, everybody. We're super excited to be here with you to do an inside look at how Pavilion is using AI to maximize sales rep efficiency. Um, by the way, this is an extension of our Build in Public series. So we're going to be sharing that with you at the end of this call. Definitely go check it out. We're covering a lot of emergent use cases with AI in go-to-market motions in a number of different ways. Super excited to bring you up on one of our favorites today, call prep notes. So just to introduce myself, I'm Brian Sowards. I am an AI coach for the last 18 months. I've been helping startups pre-seed to 100 million ARR implement AI into their go-to-market motion. And the two big things that I learned is number one, it's really great if you can implement AI with your existing tech stack, not having to make a lot of changes. And number two, I've learned, even though I've built a lot of AI systems for teams, that actually helping you build them for yourselves is the best way to have a long-term impact. So pretty excited for that. And one of our founding clients of DrivePipeline.AI.com, which you can check out what we've got there, is Josh Carter here for Pavilion. Hey, Josh, it's been so much fun doing this with you.
So fun. This has been a really great journey. Brian and I met actually at CEO Summit in January in Phoenix or Scottsdale, and we instantly connected on a bunch of like actual AI use cases in go-to-market. Not, the typical fluff of let's generate an email and call it a day and use ChatGPT to generate some long form content. This is like actual sales use cases to maximize efficiency and all that good stuff. So I'm really excited to dig in today and show you live like what we're working on. And I encourage you to check out the Build in Public work that we're doing on Pavilion's YouTube channel. It's a playlist called Build in Public. So go to our YouTube channel, click Build in Public, and you'll see the stuff that we're building as we go along every single week.
Yeah, more to come. So we're going to take you on a mini AI journey in the next about 18 minutes here. We're going to talk about where most revenue teams start. I've spoken with about 100 teams now that are using AI in some capacity. We're going to take a quick poll to just level set because we know the Pavilion audience is a group of early adopters. We're excited to get a sense of where you are in your own journey and tailor the rest of the content here to that. So while we've got this poll up, let's just get that info. So are you using ChatGPT or is someone on your team using it? That's what I see most sales teams are at today. Maybe you're using AI in your existing SaaS tools like HubSpot or Salesforce AI. Maybe you bought an AI product, or perhaps you're starting to build AI workflows in your automation. And if you're really advanced, in a few companies that I've gotten to work with, it's been really fun. We've actually built our own AI using open source tools and others that's designed to connect the whole system together. So this is the evolution that I've seen so far with go-to-market teams. Go ahead and take that vote. We're definitely seeing trending right now. About 90% of people are using ChatGPT, which is consistent with what I've been finding overall. In my conversations with sales teams, what we typically find is that there's at least one person who's using ChatGPT, but they are kind of prototyping it for everybody else, but it hasn't necessarily made it into the day-to-day impact of the work of the sales team. And sales leaders are often using it in a brainstorming or analysis or strategic way, but it's not necessarily solving the core problems that we all have in building high-performing revenue teams, pipeline accuracy, forecasting, buyer's journey insights, and so on. So let's talk a little bit about how we're going to get to that journey. And Josh, I'm curious, just as we began working together, how would you say, where would you say you started, and how was it for you as you kind of moved along this process?
Yeah, I'd say very similar to how a lot of the folks in this session today are using AI. Started with using ChatGPT just to generate content. And then I was eventually getting to the point where I was using Zapier and adding a step in Zapier for ChatGPT to generate some type of output. And in that case, it was email copy to do some personalization. But that was really the extent of it. I really wasn't up to speed on like how to do prompt engineering. I wasn't up to speed on the various language models. So I was starting very, very basic. But still, I think the adoption in the early days for us was good enough for what we were looking to do. But as we have kind of evolved the sales process and evolved how we want to go to market as an organization, we're realizing that there's so many more applications to AI. And the work that we're doing together is really supporting that.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. So let's go to the next slide and let's talk a little bit about a go-to-market maturity model. Now, most of you have probably attended some other Pavilion AI calls, which is great. There's so many great people in this community who are experimenting with or helping to make AI more accessible for go-to-market teams. This is just based on my personal experience in working with startups and where I've seen people evolve. But one of the things that we'd like to really indicate to you is this fourth step, your own workflows, and how that's setting you up for a durable and reliable future. Using AI tools is something that I do and support teams doing. There's always a build versus buy conversation. But what we really want to help you learn is that the build piece is accessible. You can do it with your existing skills and knowledge today. And with just a little support, you'd be surprised how quickly you can roll out, case studies like we're going to do today, which is call prep notes. Call prep notes are super helpful. They're really light. I think, Josh, the first time you built this, it took about 30 minutes to get the prototype up and running?
Yeah, 30 minutes max.
Yeah. And so, while it can be intimidating and there's a lot to think through and there's a lot of unknowns, the amount of time that you actually need to spend to add value to your go-to-market process with AI can be pretty quick. So we'd love to take you to that step 4. And the other benefit of step 4 is as GPT-5 is on its way and the many other versions that are going to compete with it, agents are on the horizon. I think in the next 2 to 3 years, we're actually going to start seeing AI team members of go-to-market teams. And if you're building your own AI workflows, you're actually setting the table to build your own agents. So let's go to our next slide here and let's talk about, some of the philosophy that I have. So I've been a founder, a revenue leader, and I see myself, quota busting a few times, which has been pretty fun. And one of the things that I came into this whole game when AI exploded. I did my first AI startup in 2014. And one of the things that I came into with a perspective as this ChatGPT revolution kicked off was we just don't need more low-level automation. If you really look at how automation overall has impacted like email outbound and so on, it's been a race to the bottom, and the conversion rates and the response rates reflect that. Can you even reach people by email anymore is a serious and reasonable question to be asking about outbound today. So what the focus of everything that we train at Drive Pipeline, it's in the name, is we want to help you do the hard things that actually close deals. So this use case that we're going to talk about and every other use case that's on our Build in Public episode are things that are integral to the buyer's journey at Pavilion. And I think you're going to see there's a lot of overlap with the B2B SaaS motion and others as we go through it. So if we hit this next slide, Josh, we talked a little bit about how we're going to focus on that workflow. So let's move on to the next one. Here we go. So why do salespeople hate AI? Because it's generic, it's wordy, and it's not that helpful. And I'm sorry, Microsoft Copilot, as much as I'm excited for that, or Salesforce Einstein, this is feedback that I've heard on many of the AI tools that are out there. And I want you to know that this is a reasonable criticism of AI. And if you're working with AI and these are the kinds of problems you're experiencing, writing it off makes sense. They're just right off the bat. Like if it's not actually helping you get the job done, if you have to redo the work, it's not adding to your productivity. But I want to talk with you about why this happens and how you can get past it. So on our next slide here, this is, my prompt engineering format that I like to take people through because I found it to be really reliable when you're learning to experiment. Of course, there's tons of prompt engineering formats out there. I found value in learning them all. But what I want to highlight to you is almost every AI tool that's out there, almost every AI use case that I've seen, almost every time someone's using ChatGPT, if they haven't taken a course on prompt engineering, they're just asking the AI to do a task. If you just ask the AI to do a task, you're going to get wordy, generic, and probably not that helpful responses. And I think, Josh, that's been your experience as well.
Indeed. Yeah. And that was like the early stage for me. It was all just, it was great to have words on paper, but at the end of the day, it wasn't personalized. It wasn't human-like. It felt really forced. And we ended up spending more time editing AI generated copy than actually generated it on our own. So this framework was really helpful for me to start working on better prompting to generate actual responses that are human-like and feel natural.
Well, we're just about at the halfway point here, Josh. So I think we should jump right into your presentation and we'll take you through that prompt framework as we apply it. So take it away, Josh.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this. And it seems kind of, I mean, I know call prep notes seem boring. I'll put that in quotes, but leveraging AI to generate call prep notes and make it relevant to the sales rep and give the sales rep everything that they need to prep very, very quickly for a call is what I found to be incredibly invaluable, not just for my team, but for other folks in the Pavilion community that I've shared this with. So I'm going to share with you all the workflow end to end from HubSpot to Zapier to COPY.AI all the way to Slack over the next 5 minutes. But you'll notice here, if you read through this call prep note, we share who that person is, their background, information about their company. And again, this is call prep notes for Pavilion sales reps to sell individual memberships. So our sales reps meet with anywhere from 5 to 10 different potential members every single day. So it's a lot of volume. They got a lot of follow-up to do, a lot of email work to do. So there's a lot of noise that the reps have to sift through, and call prep is something that I just wanted to take off their plate and make it a lot simpler and more actionable for them. So you'll notice here that I share the background of that person, what they've done in their career, information about their current company, how they heard about Pavilion. On our web form, we have an open text field that asks how they heard about Pavilion. So these folks go through the sign up flow, they abandon cart, they don't swipe their card to join Pavilion. So we have some information about them. We have their LinkedIn profile, so we can scrape their background, we can scrape their company. We pull in information from HubSpot about how they heard about us, as well as information from HubSpot that's readily available natively in the platform about what's the last email they received, what pages did they visit on the website before they ended up converting. In this case, this visitor visited the CEO page. So perhaps this might be an opportunity for the sales rep to introduce the CEO membership, which is a premium executive membership in Pavilion. And then at the end, this is my favorite part. It shares how Pavilion could benefit them as a person. This is incredibly valuable and can be used in email follow-up. It can be used to structure the call, just incredibly valuable. But I'm going to go ahead and just jump into the workflow. Given we have about 5 minutes left, this is going to be the fun part. I love this stuff. I love getting in the weeds, and I hope you do too. So if you do not have access to HubSpot workflows, I know some of y'all are not on the Operations Enterprise plan or Operations Pro plan. You can trigger this in Zapier off of a new contact landing in a active list in HubSpot, and that active list can be people that booked a meeting with your sales reps based on them using the meetings tool, or perhaps you have a property in HubSpot that logs when a meeting is booked. Maybe it's through Calendly or another tool. So in this case, the trigger event is the meeting has been booked by any of the reps, where the meeting host is any of our sales reps. And then we delay until the day of that meeting, which in HubSpot's case is the date of the last meeting booked in the meetings tool. So we wait until 7:30 a.m. We give them the call prep notes at that time, and that's all delivered via Zapier, and I'll share how that works in a second. And then we send that data of the prospect who has the upcoming meeting to a webhook, which then Zapier catches and then passes that data over to COPY.AI, which is our AI workflow tool that's actually going to generate the call notes for us, which will then be delivered in Slack if we follow this down the process. So we're going to take 5 minutes and go through COPY.AI because this is the most important step in the process, because this is our AI workflow building tool and is integral to the entire, basically how we're going to market as a sales and marketing organization at Pavilion with executing a lot of these AI workflows. COPY.AI is an incredibly valuable tool. So you'll see here that I'm passing the data from HubSpot, from the webhook, into COPY.AI, the profile URL of their LinkedIn, how they heard about Pavilion, the pages they visited, the last marketing email they received. Now let's jump into COPY.AI. You'll see here that the input is the data that we're passing in from the webhook into COPY.AI. So we're giving it all this information, the profile URL of the person, how they heard about Pavilion, the pages they visited, and the last marketing email they received. We then scrape their LinkedIn profile, extract the job details. And by the way, I didn't build any of this right here. These steps were actually built by COPY.AI. I actually told COPY.AI what I wanted to build, and it built about 90% of this for me, and we did some refinement along the way. So we extract the
One
job.
of my favorite things about the tool, COPY.AI's superpower is it will do prompt engineering for you, and you can learn a ton from the existing workflows they've already got.
It's absolutely incredible. So we scrape the company as well, and we're going to share this workflow with you so you can use it. But the most important part here is the prompt engineering work to actually generate the call notes. And just a reminder, this is what the call notes look like. Background about the company, how they heard about Pavilion, and tying it all together. So Brian, let's talk for the next couple minutes about the prompt engineering work that we did right here and how important it is.
Yeah, so these tools are going to be a little different in terms of what you might be using. I highly recommend checking out COPY.AI. If you haven't, it's really best in class, in my opinion. Colleen, thanks so much for your question. Yes, this video will be available after the session. We're going to share the workflow with you. We actually have a much more in-depth dive in the Build in Public where you can actually see us wrestling through this prompt engineering together. The reason we're doing the Build in Public session is we want you to understand that even if you really know what you're doing, it is an iterative process. And so we want you to, we recognize there's an emotional component to bringing AI into your systems. We want to help you see that you can navigate that together with us. From the prompt engineering perspective, we've got about 90 seconds here, so I'm going to go quick. What you see at the top is we're bringing in the data and we're giving the AI the task, write call prep notes. And you reference this information. And then we say the notes should help the sales rep have an effective call. That's the goal. So we got the task and the goal. In the background, we've got the expert. You are an experienced sales enablement specialist. If you haven't really worked with LLMs before, large language model, the thing that's actually running all of this, when you tell it what kind of an expert it is, it actually tunes its relevance to the kind of language that type of expert would actually use. So highly recommended that you use, the expert, your dream expert you wish you had for this specific task. And then you can see you care about their job history. This other piece is context. It's very simple. If you just explain to AI like you would to a new employee that you're onboarding or an intern, what the context is of the task, you're going to get there. And then that last piece is the call prep notes. That's the structure. Now, this is where you're going to play the most. The reason why I give you this format, the reason why we work it through this way is what Josh and I have learned is that making changes in any one of those areas can have a really surprising impact on the quality and insights. And we're not just cherry picking a call prep note here for you guys. I hope you can see it's detailed, it's precise, it's directive, it's useful. Every call prep note that has comes through from this workflow has proven to have, a B plus or a greater average in terms of the value that it offers. So as we wrap up here, I want to show you the takeaways because we definitely want you all to know that this is something you can do. And here's what our takeaways are. So number one, you're going to get the call notes workflow template. Number two, the link to the Build in Public series. And number three, for free, I will help you implement call prep notes in Slack. Just sign up there for an AI coaching session. We're going to share the link to this presentation. Feel free to hit those links. Thank you so much for jumping in. And don't forget, if you learned something valuable here, post it to LinkedIn so that you can potentially win that free ticket.
Cool.
All right, I think we